Good morning, Earth Jedis. So I am firstly super grateful and excited to be sharing the anxiety hack, simple 1-minute breathing exercises or techniques to help you guys get your calm on. I know it's been a crazy last couple of years. I personally have seen how many people are feeling stress and anxiety, particularly in industries like ours. When we're in the creative industry, it's just been non-stop pressure. So what I found over the last couple of years is, as much as I do strategy and I'm an author and I work with a lot of the biggest businesses and brands around strategy and innovation, the other stuff I've been studying kind of like since the age of 13 is neuroscience and quantum physics and energy medicine and meditation, and how to use all of these tools to really build emotional and mental resiliency in challenging times. And so after the last couple of years, I found clients are coming to me going, whoa, my teams feel really overwhelmed, or they're not trying to deal with all this anxiety. And I'm like, but hold on a minute, I've got all of these tools, I've been learning this stuff. And so naturally, I've actually started just helping coach people around how to build up their mental and emotional capacities. So guys, I know often it feels like, oh, well, that sounds good coming from you. You look like, you're happy and you're balanced. And yes, I am. But I last year too had an experience where I had a viral attack to my brain. I had a cardiac arrest. My eyes were not moving from right to left. I had a full-blown neural function meltdown. I was having extreme anxiety, panic attacks, suicidal thoughts. And so often we feel like when we're in a place of stress and anxiety, people keep telling us to use our mind to change our thoughts so that we can shift ourselves out of it. But the bottom line is, when you're feeling like mentally your mind is just not working, how do you do that? And so I came across this really cool technique from the HeartMath Institution, which is around using heart-centered breathing to actually start to reduce cortisol in your brain, the stress hormone and anxiety, and start to release all the feel-good hormones like your DHEAs and your serotonin and your dopamine to start to get yourself out of that cycle. And so when I was in that cycle and I had psychologists and neurologists and psychiatrists, and they were all saying, you need to reset your brain, you need to use chemicals. And I was like, no, I know there's another way. So I'm super grateful for my experience, because what it did for me is it allowed me to put all of these tools that I've been studying for the last years to the test and know that actually they can work. And so I'm here right now today to actually share them with you. So guys, I'll be sharing a little bit around the science around it, and then stick till the end where we'll actually walk you through the super simple technique, which you can do with your eyes open, your eyes closed. You can do it while you're driving. You can do it while your DOP is frustrating you. You can do it when you're not cracking the creative brief. You can literally do it anywhere. But trust me, if you start to make a daily habit of this, it will change your life. And so I've been helping people over the last year with this technique and getting phenomenal life-changing results of people that have suffered with massive stress and anxiety, and it's changed the game for them. They're no longer a victim to it at all anymore. People saying I'm more focused, I feel more happy, I feel calm now, I feel like I'm in power. And the best part about this, guys, is it's free. And once you start to learn how to just use the simple focusing on your heart center and using your breathing and doing this daily, you will reach the full potential of the way you were created and how we were designed to be. So sending you much love, really excited to take you through this session. Stay till the end. Be sure to hit me up if you want to have more. I've got handouts, I've got breathing exercises, I've got a whole bunch of stuff, but really trusting that this will give you 2022 your best year yet. Namaste. A little bit of context for you guys, because there might be a side that you don't know about, is obviously I've got all of the business and the strategy side, but I am also a trained meditation instructor, a heart math practitioner, which is one of the methods I'm going to take you guys through today. I love it. It's so simple. It's backed by heaps of science. And the best part around these processes is literally your cat or your kids could do it. It's that simple. And then I'm also an energy medicine practitioner. So I'm lucky enough that I have studied in these areas of meditation and quantum physics and energy medicine and neuroscience kind of since the age of 13. I think I was lucky that I had a second mom that was a counselor and a psychologist, and personal development for us was really big. So my best friend and soulmate, we met at 7. We were lucky to have a mom that kind of helped us with all of these tools. So it's been really interesting that we're in a time now where I'm actually finding with a lot of my global masterminds and clients, like they're coming to me and saying, Lisa, I'm super anxious and I'm stressed and I'm struggling with focus and productivity. And I'm going, I've got these tools that I can share with you. Like I've got a whole lot of them. I've been kind of studying this stuff for the last number of years. So I'm really glad to be sharing some of the stuff with the OLC team as well. And we did a quick session with the creative team a couple of weeks back, and it was great to just hear the feedback around how it really helped them. And I've been doing it with kind of like a Caribbean leadership team in the Caribbean and some of my clients, and getting really awesome feedback. So I'm really glad to be sharing this with you guys. So I think the first thing we're going to talk about is self-regulation and resilience. And I think one of the biggest skills we can learn right now is how to stay calm and control through life stresses to stay in balance. And that's really about doing it through self-regulation. So I think like we talk a lot around the fact that stressful situations will always be stressful situations, but how we choose to respond to those situations actually lies in our control. And the more we can get the tools to help us, number one, see that, but also allow ourselves to actually be able to do it, then no matter what life throws your way, you stay in a calm, centered, balanced space because you're in control of how you manage yourself and your emotions. So when we say kind of self-regulation, well, what is it? It's really about being able to regulate your emotions voluntarily and in the toughest of times. So the bottom line is the environment will always be the environment. We're living in a time where it's challenging for humanity. It's certainly not going to become less challenging. So I think that these kind of tools and being able to share them becomes quite a critical skill that we need to go on as we start to move into the next sort of 30-year cycle. So it's really not about the event or the situation that creates the stress if we really truthfully think about it. It's how we emotionally respond to a stressful event that then has this impact on our mind, our body, and our energy. But we can manage our emotional and mental resilience, and we can do this through creating coherence. And this is a concept I want to talk a little bit about in this session. Is coherence is essentially an optimal state in which your heart, mind, and emotions are all operating and balanced and in sync. We also know that coherence is the prime enabler of having energy. unmanaged stress is the prime disabler, and being in coherence helps us build resilience, capacity, and the energy reserves we need. So somebody mentioned earlier, I'm struggling, I just don't have the energy. What you will start to see is that your body is actually in an incoherent state, and that is affecting your energy levels. And this you can manage so that you keep your energy high and regulated every day. So what do we mean by coherence? Coherence within and amongst the system really just implies order. It's about structure, it's harmony, it's alignment. Once we start to bring our entire system from our heart to our brain and our energy into coherence, we then have the whole system or body or organism working in coherence. And by the way, that's the way we were designed to be. So we were designed to operate in an orderly and coherent system within our body and our cells and our breathing and our heart rate and our brain function. It was designed to be coherent. It's just that stress, anxiety, frustration, all of these emotions instantly take us out of a coherent state, and that's how we start to feel the way we do. So talking a bit about coherence and incoherence, what we do know from science is that our heart rhythm patterns are actually affected by our emotions. So if you look at this graph on the left, we see the emotions of frustration, of irritation, of anxiety, worry. That actually impacts your heart rate. So you can see there that your heart rate now starts to kind of look like these jagged peaks on a mountain range. And we also know that when our heart rate is incoherent and functioning like this, it actually impairs our brain function, our focus, our performance. On the other hand, if we're in positive emotions like appreciation, like love, like care, we actually start to see instantly the change in our heart rate, and it moves back to a coherence, looking like waves on an ocean, which is the way we were designed to be. And that obviously starts to promote better brain function, promotes optimal performance, you're thinking quicker, you're more focused, you're more clear. So when you start to understand how your heart and your emotions actually are impacting not only setting everything in incoherence from a heart perspective, but also from a brain function, it starts to make a lot of sense. So I guess if we think like if you've got your boss breathing down your back, or for me, it was always taking my driver's test, which I failed like 5 times. My brain just was incoherent. It just wasn't functioning because I was in stress and anxiety, and it was putting my whole body out. If I'm in positive emotions like gratitude, like love, like appreciation, like care, I've got way better energy, my brain is functioning really fast, and I'm at my optimal performance. So this technique we're going to talk about is really just about bringing you back to your optimal performance, regardless what gets thrown your way. And that's what really, really excites me about this one. So how does this relate to the brain? So what we do know is that the heart rhythm and coherence is reflected in wave-like patterns. Now, the minute your heart rate goes out of coherence because of stress, anxiety, frustration, have a look at what happens to your breathing rate. We're looking at the column on the left, to your heart rate and your blood pressure. Your entire system gets put completely out of sync. So your breathing is not in sync with your heart rate, is not even in sync with your blood pressure rhythm. The minute you start to put yourself back into coherence through this breathing technique, which allows you to have the right kind of emotions, you start to put your entire body perfectly back into sync. And so that's all it's about. And you'll learn through this 1-minute breathing technique literally how to do this. And the more you start to do it daily, the quicker you'll start to see, wow, oh, I actually got into stress and anxiety. I noticed like now I'm starting to breathe quicker. Actually, I'm not thinking as clearly, because we've literally put our whole body right out of sync. In terms of heart-brain communication, we do now know with science that the heart actually has its own complete nervous system. It's called the heart-brain. In fact, the heart, science is now showing us, has more neurons than what the brain does. And the heart also sends more information to the brain than what the brain sends to the heart. So this does work as a pattern. We know if we have a certain emotion, that sends a certain response signal to the brain, which releases a certain chemical, which then sends that pattern back to the heart where you feel your emotion. So, for example, if we are experiencing stress or anxiety, it's releasing a signal to the brain to release cortisol, our stress hormone, and we continue the cycle. So it's often the real trick, and this is what I love, is we talk a lot about mind over matter and mind power. But in fact, when you start at an emotion and a heart level, it's very quick to get yourself out of that pattern, literally instantaneously. So, for example, Michaela, who's here in our office, I've shown her this technique. She's practicing this technique now throughout the day. The minute she starts to feel herself in a stressful situation, she's using the technique, she's bringing herself back into balance, and she's functioning like a Jedi. So heart rhythms, we have said we know affect mental and physical performance. So incoherence does definitely inhibit brain function. That 100% is scientifically proven, and coherence actually facilitates it. So I guess the question, to ask ourselves is, what state do we want to be in? Because we all really want to be functioning at our optimal in our performance, not only feeling great, but also feeling clear and thinking, really clearly. So once we get into coherence, what we have seen is coherence, when we bring our heart rate into coherence, gives us increased ability to regulate ourselves, 40% improvement in long-term memory, 24% improvement in short-term memory, ability to focus, ability to process information faster, quicker reaction times. So all of these stats. So what we are seeing right now in the world is that people's memories are severely impacted. Yes, COVID has done a lot for memory impact, but in fact, high cortisol levels and stress hormones literally are directly impacting your memory. The minute you start to get into coherent heart rate and the good hormones like your DHEAs and your dopamine, your serotonin, your memory instantly improves. So I wanted to show you guys one of the studies, and there's just like thousands of studies behind this technique, but this was done with university students where they practiced this breathing technique for a period of 16 weeks. Before they got into that technique, their heart rates were incoherent. So before even starting to practice, when they mapped the heart rates of this cohort of students, their heart rates were like jagged peaks. They did this process for 16 weeks. And after doing it just for 16 weeks, their baseline heart rate went back to being in coherence. So that's really where you want to be. You want to be in a place where your baseline, regardless of stress or whether you're feeling good, is always coherent, so that when you do have stressful situations, you can actually bounce back a lot quicker. What's currently happening is the majority of people's baseline before even doing these techniques is actually already incoherent, which means, once again, we're completely out of sync, and that's why we don't feel in control and we don't feel like we're at our optimal. Okay, so that's the first piece, and we're going to chat a bit about that. Now I want to talk a little bit around draining and renewing emotions. I think particularly at a time where many people are feeling drained, sometimes it's just around understanding what is actually draining us. And often it's actually not the environment or the work or the person, it's actually our emotions. So what we do know is that draining emotions like fear, frustration, impatience, criticism, actually, and I'll show you on an electromagnetic graph, literally drain your energy. So we are energy fields. Our hearts are actually electrical devices. They put out a field of energy. We call that field of energy our electromagnetic field. When we are in these types of emotions, they actually take away and drain our energy, quite literally our energy that we have. So the question is, how many hours are you spending your day here? And I would then ask you, do you feel like you have more energy when you're in these emotions? When you're in fear or frustration or being overly critical or judgmental, do you actually have energy? And the impact of draining emotions is that they often actually go even beyond that into not only our energy, but our physical. We're seeing reduced muscle mass, brain cell death, impaired memory, accelerated aging, impaired mental function, diminished performance. So these emotions cause what we call toxic stress syndrome. They release those stress hormones and then start to have all of the impact, not only on our energy, but also on our physical bodies. We also do know that a stressed brain is functioning at 50% less. So here we can see scans that show us when we are in high cortisol and stress, you can see how your brain is firing versus when you're in those energies and emotions of appreciation and love and gratitude and feeling good. Your brain is actually firing a lot better. So we've got the depleting emotions, but we also have renewing emotions. And these emotions are care, tolerance, appreciation, gratitude. So the question here is, how many hours are you spending your day here? And do you have more energy when you're here? So when you are having a really good time with your friends, or you're on a beach, or you're just like maybe in your own zone and you're feeling really fulfilled, do you have more energy? So before going into the technique, I'd say spend the next week and also think around checking yourself in this. Like, am I waking up feeling really drained? What emotion am I in? Could I potentially start to switch myself to another emotion that starts to energize me? And try that for 5 days and start to see how your energy actually starts to shift and how much more energized you start to feel. So I always say, if you're not enjoying something, don't do it. Or if you are doing that thing that you don't enjoy, can you still be able to have the skills to bring the positive emotions back to you, because that's actually what serves you. And often we feel grumpy, or we feel frustrated, or we feel critical. Not only is it actually just really not cool for the people around you that need to be around you, but it's really not doing you any justice in terms of your energy. And I guess at the end of the day, the amount of energy we have is how much we get to accomplish. I know that. I had COVID. I was in critical COVID. I know what it feels like to be a 99-year-old without having any energy to walk for 3 steps and have that for a long period of time. So once we are able to get our energy right and have all of that energy and feel like we've got vitality, then we can do everything that we want to do. So renewing emotions, we do know, like care, courage, tolerance, appreciation, actually create these neurochemicals that regenerate your system and they offset that energy drain. So a lot of what science has shown is increased longevity, better resilience when we're in uncertain times, your memory improves, you can problem solve better, you've got better intuition and creativity, and increased and improved job performance and achievement. So here, if we start to look at the depletion to renewal grid, this basically just starts to show us less energy and more energy sitting on the red with the high cortisol. If we're in these kinds of emotions, we actually start to see the rate of cortisol increase, which is obviously depleting our energy. If we're in the emotions of courage, passion, love, appreciation, dignity, certainty, we then start to see all of the DHEA hormones raise. So not only does this impact our hormonal system, it also impacts our parasympathetic system, which is really related to your heart rate, and your sympathetic system. So we're working now not only on the brain chemistry, but also on our nervous system and our underlying parasympathetic nervous system that's actually kind of like our operating system. And also we do know that constant depleting emotions lead to burnout. So, I mean, major fatigue, as we know, we're super aware of how much we should be engaging in depleting. So what starts to happen is over time, when we're constantly engaged in these negative emotions, we are releasing the cortisol levels. Eventually, we just get to burnout because we don't have enough energy and we're sitting with really high cortisol levels in the brain. So how do we keep our energy up and be in check as super Jedis every day? We can do this through this really simple technique. So that was just the intro to kind of like two modules. The one is understanding a little bit about coherence. The other is talking a little bit around renewing emotions and depleting emotions. Are you guys ready to jump into the technique?
Yes, definitely.
Sure. Thanks, Lucy. I've got a 10:30, but I'm going to listen to the recording. But so lovely. Thank you, doll.
You're welcome. Okay, guys. So this technique you can do with your eyes open. You can do it with your eyes closed. You could do this literally while you're working at your laptop. You can do this while you're driving. You literally can actually use this technique absolutely anytime, anywhere. We're going to do it for 1 minute. Just getting my timer up here. And I will be guiding you through the process. Are you guys all ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can start by focusing your attention on the area of your heart. And imagine you are breathing in and out through your heart area. So just place your attention on the area of your heart and imagine literally instead of breathing in and out through your mouth or your nose, you're breathing in and out through your heart area. And just shift your attention away from your stressful situation and to your heart area. Now you can start to think about someone you love, or something you love, or a memory. It really makes you feel that emotion of love and appreciation and gratitude. And as you're focusing on that emotion, just keep on imagining, slowing your breathing down, that you're breathing in through your heart and out through your heart center. You can also start to feel like, if you want, that you're inhaling in for 5 seconds through your heart center and that you're exhaling out for 5 seconds. All the time feeling that person you love, or that thing you love, or that memory you love. And now you can start to take that feeling and you can expand that feeling throughout your whole body. Start to feel it getting bigger and bigger. Now you can start to bring yourself back to wherever you're seated. And you have just brought yourself back into a calm Jedi state.
That is amazing.
So that, guys, is the process. It's that simple. So it's really about, remember, you focus on your heart center, start to think about something you love or someone you love, and just breathe in and out through your heart center. Now, if we had ECGs wired up, and we've actually got a really cool app that allows you to plug in and you can actually start to see your mind and heart coherence, and you can start to see the change in your heart rate. Some of you would probably find that you've gone completely into coherence. Like I always say with exercising, you can't go to the gym once for 30 minutes and plan to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Unfortunately, it takes daily commitment. But as you start to do this process over and over throughout the day, if you feel you're there and you need that, or just daily to set yourself up for the rest of the day, you'll start to become the trainer of bringing yourself back into coherence and doing it really quickly. So you'll notice how some people manage to go through really tough, stressful times, and they're just resilient. They've trained themselves to know how to do it. It just happens naturally. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a training. It's a daily practice. And what I love about this process is it's not complex, it's quick, and you literally can do it absolutely anywhere. So, does anybody want to share how they're feeling, what they experienced?
I just feel super calm.
That's good.
I have to admit, Lisa, from the last session that we did this, I still have been doing it. And I find that I can actually control the anxiety a little bit more when I'm stressed.
Brilliant.
I'm not constantly feeling that, that anxiety pressure.
So you're actually feeling like you're now putting yourself in the control seat.
Yeah, a little bit more. I feel like I can realize when I am starting to feel, and then just calm myself down again and then refocus and then carry on. So it is helping.
Amazing. That's brilliant to hear, Jen. I love that. Anyone else?
I loved it.
How did you find it this time around, Kent?
I think it was more impactful now than previously. Much calmer.
Are you at home now today?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it is also about just practicing it in your comfortable zone, especially when you start out. Like, do it on your own, in your own space and time. And then you've got that tool that when you are in other environments, you can also use it.
Thank you.
Cool, guys. So that was just a quick intro. I trust it was helpful for you. I will give you guys a handout, which is also quite nice because it allows you to just track what stressful situations have come up. And I'm going to share it with you. And you can actually just start to make notes of those as you go along. And I always say with a lot of the processes I share with people, do it for a week and then come chat to me. Just do it for a week and then let's chat. But let's commit to a week. Let's just commit to doing it for a week. So guys, on this one, this will share with you the process. So again, just into the process, exactly how to do it with your inhaling and exhaling through the heart center. And then I'm going to share with you guys a little bit you can start to look at here is how stressed are you? When do you feel that stress is actually affecting your life? And then we've got a really cool little tracker that actually just looks at situations. You know, how were you responding? And do it over that week so that while you're practicing it, what's really cool is you'll start to see. So like Jen's saying, she's been doing them and she's now started to notice. So sometimes it's quite nice just to jot those down and keep a log, and you'll start to see how you're actually progressing before you know it, you're actually starting to build your own resiliency, both mentally and emotionally. So that is it, guys. Thank you for joining. Short and sharp. If you do want more, I've got heaps of other modules we can go through. We can talk around how to beat negativity and negative energy around us, as well as how we stay in positive energy. And that's also very much science-based around how to manage our energy and what we put out. Because, you know, we are like these electromagnetic fields created from our emotions. And particularly in time right now where we've got a lot of negative energy around us, how do we actually overcome that, manage our own, and potentially even start to change the energy of the environment around us, which is really when we get into our Jedi powers.